Hello everybody, welcome to another video. So this is practice ideas and concepts, and so this talk is going to be in line with that. So the title here is Bebop Pentatonic Scales. You might not find anything that is officially labeled as a Bebop pentatonic scale, but again, we're coming at this from a conceptual sort of point of view and the idea of things to practice. So let's talk a little bit about kind of creating lines and maybe limiting the number of notes. So let's talk a little bit about kind of this concept here. So let's say we had a chord that we're working with, and we want to outline that chord. In a way that makes it kind of clear what it is in a melodic way, right? So let's say we play an arpeggio. Now that gives us kind of a lot of wide open intervals. It also provides things that are fairly consonant, but we may not want to play something consonant all the time, right? So so it's beneficial to maybe mix something in. So let's get to a pentatonic on that. So maybe a couple options we could think of here. We could have. Okay, so let's play that chord again. So G minor 7 flat 5. Okay. So here we have the root, flat 3, flat 5, flat 6, flat 7. Okay, and then back to the root again. Okay, so that's going to work really well for us, and we get one tone that's outside of that chord. Okay, now one of the ideas behind, or one of the things that makes bebop scales so effective, is that we can play consonant tones on the beat. You could also flip this around, but just for, like, say, the purpose of practicing and outlining changes, you could play the chord tones on the beat and non-chord tones on the end of the beat, and end up kind of outlining the chord itself. Okay, so if we were to try to do that with the pentatonic, let's see what would happen. So let's say we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Now in this circumstance, it kind of works. We're landing on chord tones on the strong beats, and then not on the up. But it's not always going to work out quite that nicely. So, and we'll apply this to other chords and things. But So let's say we play. You could see at the end, the root ended up on the end of the beat, right? So we have 1 and 2 and 3 and. Okay, so there we're back on the root, but we are on the end of the beat. So let's try that. So play. Okay. Now what that does is when you go up an octave, you're gonna end up playing the same tones on strung beats. Anyway. So we get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Okay. Now this could work out really well in 3/4 time too, because that's one thing. That's also kind of nice about the bebop scales. They're eight notes, and so it all kind of comes around after 4 beats have gone past. So here you might say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay. So sometimes they're going to be in 4, some are going to be in 3, but that doesn't mean I'm not suggesting that you should do just 1 and 3 and 1 and 4. Only I'm just kind of pointing that out, how it kind of comes around like that. All right, so then we have that. Now, what if we wanted a different kind of sound, or what if we wanted maybe a natural 6? Let's check what that would sound like. Okay, so then we have that. Now we have that. Sorry, let's do this again. Okay, so we just moved that flat 6 up to natural 6. So same kind of concept. So that can take a chord and be able to outline it, with that. Let's say we want a different kind of sound. Maybe we want a 4. Now the math kind of gets a little bit tricky. It's perfectly fine though. We have 1 and 2, so now we have the 11, which is non-chord tone landing on the strong beat, which is fine. So that is something where you could create, a valid line. And if you're really trying to put it into that structure or practice that structure of playing the chord tones on the beats, then you might reverse the order of the 4 and the flat 5. So. Okay. So there's kind of that. So different ways of kind of coloring that in. You might also try the 9. Let's say we have a flat 9. So we can create a line out of that. So now we get flat 3 on a strong beat, which is nice. Okay, let's try it. Especially ascending, the natural 9 is going to actually sound pretty good here. It may even kind of take in the role, or maybe it's a chromatic passing tone or something. Okay, so when you practice it, go back and keep reminding the ear of the chord. Keep reminding the spatial visual sense of how the shape looks, where things are located, so that you have a reference point for the chord. Or for the scale, or the notes, the line you're trying to create. So let's think about the another chord. How about a dominant 7? Okay. Since we just talked about minor 7 flat 5, let's look at. Well, we'll start with the arpeggio of a G7. Okay, so what if we have a flat 9 in there? So then we have kind of a pentatonic scale. So like a dominant pentatonic with a flat 9. It's been adjusted a little bit. Okay. All right, so let's talk about making it work in a sort of bebop sort of thing. And remember, the goal here is to practice something practice maybe creating lines. We don't always have to start at the root, that's for sure. You probably actually don't really want to do that as much as some of the other tones, but anyway, this is what we're doing here. So okay, so let's talk about this. So we always, I don't want to say always, but it's kind of a nice situation there with the flat 7 to connect between the root and the flat 7. So let's try this scale. So remind ourselves of the chord, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so then we have a little something that connects things. So let's look at maybe some other options there too. So okay, so I use a different tone there. So I use the 11. So then that connects to the 5. You could also do the sharp 11. You could also try the sharp 11 on the up and then flat, and the natural 11 on the down. You could also try the natural 9 on the way up and the flat 9 on the way down, and maybe mix that in with the other things. So just some ideas there, right? Some concepts. So let's see what else we might put into there. Well, let's maybe kind of stick with that. There's so many things that you can really do on dominant 7th chord. So I don't want to get that extensive with just one of the examples here. I want to hit on some of the basic chord types here. So let's say we have a minor chord. Say we have a F minor. Let's say we have F minor 6. So let's say play the arpeggio. Okay. All right. And then maybe make a pentatonic scale out of it. So I put the 11 in. So it's a minor 6 pentatonic. So now we have pentatonic 6. What we're basically doing is adding a note to the pentatonic, which you might conceptualize as a pentatonic scale with a passing tone, or just 6-note scales. So we talked a little bit about hexatonic scales, so this would kind of fall into that range, but the pentatonic is kind of our source, and we have the kind of specific things we're trying to do here. Okay, so we have F minor 6. Okay. All right, so what are we going to do with connecting tones? Well, we could connect up to, let's say, well, a couple different ways we could do this. Let's start. Well, let's just start with the third. So kind of pointing at the third. Okay. So we've got a tone between the root and the flat third, and it's that's a 9. So we're getting kind of a 9 sound on that. Okay. Now let's say we connect passing tone in between the 5th and the 6th. Now that gets into a little bit of a problem, right? right? Because we're gonna end up with our passing tone on the beat. So let's figure that out. So this is another one where maybe the order might help us out, or it just might not work quite as well, and might abandon it. But let's see. So we have 1 and 2. So that's a little bit of the problem there, is that we have 3, 1 and 2, and okay, so that's gonna come on the beat. Okay, so it's not gonna work out quite as well. So let's look at the 7. Okay, so 1, and 2, and 3, and 4. There we go. Okay, so that makes sense. So that's a major 7, and so if you're doing kind of a tonic minor, that could work. Okay, it's another one where you might go. Okay, and we're getting the 4 again on one of those strong beats, so just kind of be aware of that. So I went up with a major 7, down with a flat 7. You could do either one, both directions. Kind of depends on what kind of chord you're using, or what the circumstance is of the harmony. Okay, but it still has some open kinds of sounds there. All right, and then again, you could kind of play with the order, so maybe. And then it starts to really sound more like, a line that you might play, or a melody. So mixing up the order of the notes, definitely, I think, a good thing. So changing, let's say, the iteration of it. So so we get minor. Let's talk a little bit. So we did a predominant. So we could apply that minor to a predominant. Oh, well, let's talk about that a little bit first. So let's say we have, let's go to C minor. So it's another chord in this tune. If I'm remembering the name of the tune, it's what is this thing called? Love's the Bridge. We go to have a 2/5, 1 and B flat. So let's take this chord. So let's have let's say we have the arpeggio. Okay, and let's add the 11 to it. Okay, and could do quite a few things here. So we could have the 9. Okay, we could have the, let's see how that works out. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So let's go with that. Okay, so moving again between that flat 7 and the root note. So we have major 7, kind of connecting things a little bit. So that's another predominant. So we talked about minor as a tonic chord, minor as a predominant chord. So far we talked about half diminished as a predominant chord, dominant 7, and we did include the flat 9 and the 9 there, but maybe just to be thorough. So on there, F7. Again, we could do all sorts of things on this, but let's say we just have the arpeggio of F7. So this follows the C minor. So okay, so that. Let's put a 9 in. Let's do a natural 9. Keep it simple. So they were dominant pentatonic. It's also related to the minor 6 pentatonic. One of the modes of that, anyway. Okay, let's say, okay, well. Okay, so that's pretty cool. Wait, let's take the dominant pentatonic, and we gotta create a little passing tone between the 7 and the flat 7. All right. So let's get to the a tonic major. So we do go to C and that tune. Not that we're studying that tune. I'm just kind of using that as an example. So C major. Although maybe we'll do that tune in this month. I'm kind of looking for tunes. Okay. So we've got C. I got C major 9 here is what I'm playing. So we have, I'd say, well, let's do an arpeggio. So that's C major 7. Let's do a C6 arpeggio. So it tends to be a little more consonant. All right, so let's put the 9 in with that. So we got a 6 and 9. So that's a major pentatonic. Okay. All right, and then, well, we could add that 7 back into it. Or we could, instead of the 7, we could have the 5 connect to the 6. Again, that's going to create an issue with how the thing's numbered out. And that's one of the things, with this is that you end up with the numbers, we're having this larger leap, so we're going right straight to another chord tone. So that's kind of an issue that we're facing here. Right. So again, you could maybe try it out of order. Let me do something like that. That sounds interesting. Maybe if you slur it, it'll be a little more convincing. Okay, so we got that. Of course, we could put something in between the 3rd and the 5th. So okay, that's going to be a dissonance there. We could also do the sharp 11. Maybe do natural 11 on the way down. Things like that. Okay, so there are some concepts that we can use and apply there. All right, so this is available as a live stream on the channel. I'm doing it as a live stream, but I'm also recording here locally, and I'm working on that part of things. I'll probably talk about that in an update here soon, but so I'm using a higher bit rate for the recording, so the quality may be a little bit better. Definitely be more reliable than the streamed video, which I'll say is already fairly reliable, but sometimes things happen. And then I'm recording audio on this as well for the podcast. So if you want to check that out on the podcast, you can do that. All right, everybody. Well, thanks so much for checking this out. And I will see you all in the next one.